All right, brother, here we go. So as we record this, you guys there in the deep south had a storm recently
We
and
did.
your internet's still messed up, right? So the people at home know this could be
Correct.
spotty.
Yeah, it's funny. We were lucky. Our power only went out for about 2 days.
Mm,
Uh, we had neighbors. Actually, our immediate next door neighbor was out for about a week, and we couldn't figure out why. It turns out we draw power from a slightly different street because we're close to the corner.
interesting.
Yeah. So we got lucky in that regard, but there are plenty of people that, they were going on 8 or 9 days with no power. We still don't have internet, oddly enough. So I'm hotspotting off my phone as much as I can, and sometimes that works out pretty good, and sometimes it gets a little choppy. So we'll hold our fingers crossed that this one comes out okay.
But that storm and the power outage, is that fair to say it's somewhat rare in your area?
Yeah, I mean the locals are saying that it hasn't had anything this dramatic since 1994. There
Oh,
was like a
okay.
big ice storm back then. Yeah, so
Interesting. All right.
it's pretty anomalous weather that came through. It's pretty wild to see it. Trees
Well,
exploding and
dude.
just all
Yeah.
sorts of craziness.
Yeah, well, luckily you guys fared, I guess, relatively well, all things
We
considered,
got pretty
right?
lucky in the scheme of things. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, fingers crossed that your neighbors and everyone are back on track as soon as possible. We got a good show for everybody. I'll get the housekeeping out of the way. Gym owners, stop messing around. We know that you have a lot to do. You've got to track your people's data so you know they're actually getting fitter. You got to do gym management. You got to do billing. btwb has an all-in-one solution for that. It's the all-in-one. So if you want to do all those things in the same software and platform, just go to btwb.com if you're a gym owner and check that out. Um, have you, in the midst of all this craziness, fitness been happening?
Yeah, I
Jiu-jitsu
got a
been
couple
happening?
in. I got a couple in. I went to jujitsu over my lunch break today. So, I've been catching as catch can. Been a lot of manual work. I mean, just tons of trees down and out on my property. There's going to be a couple weeks worth of effort to get that back up. Luckily, no damage, just lots of trees
Oh,
down in
good.
the
Okay,
open
yeah.
areas. But it's going to
Good,
be,
honest
I'll,
work.
I'll, I'll be putting the fitness to the test
Good,
in more
honest
ways than
work.
one in
That's
short
cool.
order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no crazy storms, no yard work to do around here. Yesterday, I did just a blast from the past, heavy Fran. So
Oh,
15,
nice. Yeah.
15, 12, 9, 135
135?
thruster, and a 45-pound pull up. And for
Nice.
anybody who wants to take a walk down memory lane, there's an amazing video of Greg Amundsen doing it a long time ago in a psychotic time for as many years
Yeah.
as it was, like a psychotic time. And so, yeah, I knocked it out. It was just as difficult as I thought it would be. I didn't use
Man,
the barbell. I used a pair of 65-pound dumbbells. I know that's 5 pounds
even
less than the
worse.
barbell would be, but I don't think I was
Oh,
shortchanged in any way, shape, or form.
I would say that's even worse. And I mean, we're talking 5 pound difference. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's a harder option, frankly.
It was
The
miserable.
135-pound thruster is no joke. It's a tough effort.
And, this might be a stupid thing to say, but I guess across most people, right? Like if you're even contemplating doing that workout, because you're like, yes, I can do it. I don't know how long it'll take me. I have the capacity. I
Yeah.
almost feel like the pull-ups are the sleeper. It's easy to think like a
Mhm.
135 thruster, ooh, that's going to be a beast. But the 45-pound pull-up for 36 reps, I think that's
Yeah.
overlooked because the thruster seems so intimidating. And then it's not uncommon for those pull-ups to just totally catch you off guard.
You're not wrong, Pat. 100%. And that's one of those movements too that once it goes away, like a weighted pull up or like a muscle up or something like that, like it ain't coming back. So
Yep. Yep.
good
Well,
luck. You got to manage and monitor that. It's funny when you say heavy Fran and then you brought up the video. Literally in my mind's eye, as soon as you say heavy Fran, it just popped. Like I can see that video. I can see the old
absolutely.
Santa Cruz location. I can see Greg
It's a
Amundsen
great
like setting
video.
up for it. It's funny how like deeply embedded some of those old school videos are in my psyche.
Those are the videos I grew up on,
Same. Yep. And
kind
at that
of
time, I
lured
mean,
me in.
yeah, for sure. And I think it's hard these days to just wrap your head around how limited some of the media was back then. because now everybody's just got this amazing broadcasting device in their pocket. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're just awash in everybody doing it all the time. But back then, I mean, you see a new CrossFit video come up and you're like, oh man, drop everything. Like this, you might not get another one for a week or two, you know? So
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Well, we got a good one for you today. This came in through the good folks at btwb. Somebody sent it to them. This is from Joel T. And we'll read the question and then we'll go ahead and dive in. Hi, guys. Love the show. Potential discussion, as I'm probably not the only one who is in this boat. I'm a 50-year-old father of 2 kids, ages 10 and 14, sedentary work from home job. I CrossFit 4 to 5 times a week, doing 3 on, 1 off, 2 on frequency. I attend the 5 a.m. class in my local affiliate and I scale most workouts. I've been CrossFitting for just over 6 years. First of all, yes, like the everyday cross. Yes, I mean this. Yes,
yeah,
I think Joel. I think you're right. I think a lot of people are like, "Yep, I can relate to that." I
checking a lot of
recent,
boxes.
dude, 100%. I
Yeah.
recently started using a wearable fitness device. I won't say the brand name for legal purposes. I think we can guess what it is. To track my sleep and activity. I rarely, if ever, reach more than a 60% recovery, and I discovered that I get between 4 and 6 hours of sleep during the weekdays and only about 7 hours on the weekends. I've been struggling with making gains with my fitness and keeping my diet in check. I can't seem to arrange my and my family's schedule to include more sleep. Do you have any suggestions or comments on how to on how to maintain longevity in this methodology while trying to squeeze in and balance life the other 23 hours of the day? Thank you. I love this question, by the
I
way.
do too. It's real life,
It's
and in real life is,
so real life.
yeah, it's not perfect. You're not, and for so
It's
many reasons, right?
messy.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own responsibilities and curveballs that life throws at them. But also, I think it's real life in the sense that we're talking about a guy who's clearly dedicated. 6 years under your belt is something to be proud of. That's great. You
100%.
go in
Yep.
at a 5 a.m. class, 4 to 5 days a week. Like that's a legit commitment. So good on you for doing that. But we're
Yeah, he's
talking
got the
about somebody who's
discipline. Even when life's crazy, he's got the discipline to try to make
exactly,
it happen.
but we're talking about somebody who's 50. They're not, let's make no mistake, Pat, maybe not in the prime of his life anymore in that regard. Uh,
How
and
dare you?
so, while it is fun to chase those gains, I think there's also reality that's like, okay, we're not talking about training to be the absolute most beastly, fittest person in the affiliate. And that's totally fine. There's different
Mm-hmm.
ages and stages for that sort of thing. So, what's a realistic expectation for somebody in this situation? I think that's the real life behind this. Not just that he's got things going on and he's, struggling with the things we all do in terms of making it happen and still getting it done. But just that recognizing that it's like, hey, you're at a different stage. So there will be different things that apply to you, and a different mentality should probably be adopted as far as what you can expect from yourself. That's not letting yourself off the hook, but it is saying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's just be realistic about what we're dealing with.
Yeah, because it is everyone gets dealt a hand of cards, right, in
Yeah,
life. And some of them maybe you can swap out for different cards. Some
sure.
of them. You probably can't swap out the fact that you got 2 kids. Probably got to hold on to those cards. There's sort of some cards you can swap out, some you can't. You might wish you got dealt a different hand in some regards, but but generally speaking, you kind of got to play the ones that you're dealt. And it may not be ideal. And it's actually kind of why, again, like you said, why I like this question, because it's just real life. It's not the optimum ideal situation. It is what it is. Joel, my friend, our beloved viewers and listeners, you might hear some things from me today that are upsetting,
Oh no, Pat,
that are jarring, that are
don't
triggering,
disrupt the fan base.
that are triggering. I know we're going to lose all our sponsorship deals.
Our numbers might never recover.
But I promise you will be hearing, as always, nothing but the truth from my mouth. If you don't, it is what it is. I'm going to present what I think are the actual options that you have available to you. Some of those
Hmm.
options you might find distasteful, but they are actually still an option if you wanted to explore them all. And then you go ahead and make the decision that you want to make. So I have some
Yeah.
general overall points just based upon what Joel had to say. And then I distilled it down to two options. And I don't know which of those two options he will or won't like, if any of them. So my overall
Yeah.
points, I think, apply to either option that he chooses. And so um, I can kick it back to you, or I can kind of start to go into those overall things.
Well, let me start by saying, and I might steal a little bit of your thunder here, Pat,
Please
but
do.
I'll still be curious as to your take on it as well. Let's start with this whole wearable situation, because to
Mm,
me, that's one of those things that's like, hey, if you're a gadget person, if you just like kind of having your finger on the pulse of such things, great. There's nothing wrong with engaging with this kind of technology. I will say that I think we've talked about this a lot in the past. There's limited utility a lot of the times. You got to take all of that with a grain of salt. And on top of that, it's likely already telling you things that you already know. Yeah, there's probably no
right.
mistaking Joel's situation where he's like, yeah, I don't sleep as much as I'd like. I have a busy family life and like things going on. It's not always easy to get to bed. Yeah, same for the same reasons. It's not always easy to just eat the most strict, perfect diet. You don't need a device to tell you that, most
Mm-hmm.
likely, even if it does confirm it. And then the second thing that I'll say about devices in general that I think people need to weigh and they don't often do, is there can be a benefit to taking an objective look at things and saying, okay, now with eyes wide open, I can see that this is something I need to address. Maybe that wasn't clear in the past. Okay, that could be the real utility, but that needs to be weighed against another latent stressor that can just become a dominant force in your life. And what I mean by that is like, hey, the text message, it's an amazing innovation. But guess what? Now you can be contacted by anybody on earth at any time and they expect a response immediately.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cost benefit there. And you have to think about this wearable in the same way. At the
Everything's a
point,
choice.
that's right, at the point that you're like, hey, I understand these factors about my life. And now I'm getting a signal every day that's telling me I'm not measuring up and largely in the same way that I know I already need to address. Is that helpful, or is that just adding to one more distractor or another message that just has to be dealt with that you could apply that energy elsewhere? You have to weigh that factor, and everybody's got to make that choice for themselves. Personally, at a certain point, if I know these things about my lifestyle, I'm going to put that thing down and I'm not going to wear it again for some duration of time until I either make a change and I want to check back in and see what this device has to tell me about that. Um, or I recognize that my situation is not going to change and it's not really relevant to just get this feed of like not good enough
Mm-hmm.
every day out of that thing. So, choice is yours. You got to make that choice on your own there, Joel. But that's the first thing I would say is like, what is the real utility you're getting out of this wearable? And, you got to assess maybe it's run its course. I don't know.
It sounds like you're not a fan. It's a,
What gave
you
it
know,
away?
it's one of those things. People are asking us our personal opinion. So fair enough. We're going to give you our personal
Yes.
opinion, and it is personal, but it is actually hopefully more than that too, right? Just because the amount of you're not somebody who casually is into fitness working two other jobs unrelated. Like it's your literally 24-hour day. You're immersed with strength conditioning and fitness knowledge every waking hour of your day, and you have been for like 20 years. Okay, that's why we're here doing this podcast. Same with myself. So if you and I are immersed with this constantly nonstop and we want to be the fittest, fastest, strongest that we can, you and I would, if we thought that was going to be just this tool we couldn't live without, we'd both have one on, and neither one of
Right.
us do. So that in and of itself is interesting. Nothing's preventing me. I don't have like some other sponsorship deal, so I can't do it. Like I have nothing. Like whatever I choose to do, I'm going to do if I think it's going to work and drive the needle forward. And I choose
Sure.
not to own one. So just take that,
Yeah.
for a grain of salt. I'll get to that one. I'll start with my little general overall points. And again, Joel, we're just two friends having a real conversation, which is just straight talk. Okay, so here's just the straight talk. Number one, you say that you're struggling to keep, quote unquote, keep your diet in check. I likely have an idea that that is a gentle way of understating the actual problem. Um,
Mm,
it's probably not good. You felt the need to mention it. And keeping your diet in check has nothing to do with your sleep schedule. And it has nothing to do with working from home. It has nothing to do with any of those things. It has nothing to do with a wearable. So, my friend, number one, I would say you got to make that a priority. You got to get that diet in check. With whatever decision you choose to do with the wearable, get the nutrition in check. If you can't or can't fix your sleep, get the nutrition in check. Like that, let's focus on that. So, that would be number one. Number two, so you can't seem to arrange you and your family's schedule to include more sleep. I believe you. Okay, I believe you when you say that. But perhaps I want you to be open to maybe you have some options that you just haven't considered that will maybe be some big changes. We'll explore them a little bit later. And again, these might be the things that are a bit, jarring to how you've been doing business. But I do get what you're saying overall. Some things in your family schedule, kids got to be at certain times, school starts when school starts. Some things you just don't have any control over, and they are what they are. Gotcha. Okay. The final and third one is the wearable. My short thing would be throw it in the trash. That would be the number one thing that I would say. The monthly fee,
I should have led with that.
the monthly fee, spoiler alert, that's my honest opinion. The monthly fee, depending upon, there's various options that you can get, and from my understanding, it's anywhere from $25 on the low end to $40 on the high end if you're doing the monthly deal. There's also annual subscriptions that you can get that on the low end are $150 a year, to on the high end about $360 a year. And like I said, my friend, there's a difference between want and need. You don't need this to become fitter, faster, and stronger. You may want it. And I'm open to the fact that maybe you are one of those individuals that there are some people that sort of gadget, device, or data sparks something in their brain and actually motivates them, and it helps them walk into the gym more frequently. If that's where you are, that could be worth $25 a month. I'm open to that. Okay, but that still is, the truth is that the overwhelming majority of people making tremendous gains in strength and conditioning communities all around the world don't have one of these things on their wrist. Most people don't. And so you don't need it. If you want it, cool. And while there are amazing marketing stories that can be told, sponsored athletes that will lead you to believe this is what's going to put you into their category, or this is what unlocked their fitness, or the incredible stories that I'm sure are true and tug on your heartstrings, but I think they're statistically very low, which is like, I had this device and this device told me that something was going on for a week. And then I walked into my doctor and he told me that I had a heart palpitation, this is an early detection device. I wouldn't have learned it otherwise. I'm sure that has occurred. I think it's profoundly statistically low. Okay, so I'm just going to get all that stuff out there first. I used your friend and mine, AI, and I went in there with such device and I asked them for pros and cons. And the pros are all the ones that you're probably familiar with, the marketing, the this, that. And I was like, okay, are there any cons associated with this device? Because I had my biases that I think are the cons, but I wanted to get this, emotionless computer. And it basically said, yes, there are cons. For example, the metrics that are given are not 100% proven and not even fully close to being validated with regards to improving performance, which of course is probably one of the main reasons people think that they're using it.
Sure.
They said the underlying data with regards to sleep and things like that, some of the devices is actually among, you can get some devices that are quite accurate with regards to monitoring your sleep, but there can be big differences from one device to another and how well they measure that. Some give you a certain, whatever they want to call it, the recovery score, the strain that your body's under, should you have a rest day, like any of that sort of stuff. And it said that largely those are proprietary algorithms, a bit of a black box, where independent studies show profoundly weak or no correlation between like what you would measure in a lab and what this thing says there, that this strain or effort or whatnot, it may not be actually what you think that it is. And so if you're basing a lot of what you're going to do on that, some days you might be getting really good useful information, and some days it might not be within an acceptable parameter of accuracy, and you're not going to know that. You're just going to wake up and look at it. Good things, like I said, placebo aspect, some real world effect that helps you get into the gym. Cool. I'm good with that. I think maybe something that you touched on, um, if not just in my head, and this one for me, I think is a big one, is the whole data overload and anxiety. It's some users experience what they call data fatigue or stress from constant like red or yellow or other scores, leading to like obsessive
Sure.
behavior about what you should and shouldn't do. That
It's
to
just
me,
another
yes,
input that needs to be monitored.
it's another
Yeah.
input that needs to be monitored. So, Joel, you are a 50-year-old man. You are capable of making your own choices. But as far as like, I haven't given you my option one and option two yet, but my three buckets, do with it what you will. Number one, get the nutrition in order. Number two, we'll talk about maybe what we can do with your schedule. And number three, those are my honest feelings on the wearable. And so I'll throw it back to you, and then I'll get into my two
Yeah.
options.
I love your list there. And your point number one, I think, is right on the money in terms of, hey, what can be actionable? You always have more choice about what your nutrition looks like than you think. And that's not only, the food at the meal, but the frequency of it too is a big deal. You only get one opportunity to go to bed every night, but you have multiple opportunities to make an improvement in your diet every single
Yeah.
day. So I think that's great. And people will want to argue that, and they'll be like, yeah, but sleep could be the most important thing. You're like, okay, fine. We're getting into the philosophical ranking of these things, not what is actually actionable in this man's life. So
No
it
one's
doesn't
saying
matter.
more sleep wouldn't be wonderful. It'd be
Yeah,
great.
I don't really care if you rate that as a more important element if it can't be changed truly, or at least not to the degree that's going to make a significant difference, then who cares? This
Hmm.
is what can be. So let's focus there. So I agree with you wholeheartedly there. And one thing, as you're talking about the cons of the technology, I think that's cool that you dug into that a little bit. It really struck me that technology is so funny in that way that when it becomes outdated a little bit, we can see the pitfalls of it so clearly. But at the time, it's like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. So why don't we frame this technology using an outdated technology and see if there's any parallels that might be drawn? I'm going to introduce a revolutionary new home device to you, Pat. And on this device, you can step on it and it will tell you really accurately what you weigh. Now, this was not
Sign me
available
up.
to the lay person, uh, you know, decades and decades ago, but through innovations in modern science, we now have a home portable model and you can put it right in your bathroom. And with a pretty high degree of accuracy, you'll know every day what your weight is. I mean, what a revolution.
Hmm.
Now, I'm being obviously facetious here, but most of us that have been around health and fitness, even casually, understand that, yeah, it can be a good thing to have like a little bathroom scale. And from time to time, you step on that thing to just kind of have a little check in. You're like, okay, yep, still on track. Or, oh man, I got to tighten a
Still
few things
crushing
up.
it.
Yep. But I bet you when you got out of the shower and you caught your reflection in the mirror, you probably already knew which direction that was going anyway. And on top of that, we all know that if you're on that scale every hour of the day looking for a change and then judging your performance or what your decisions have led up to, either good or bad, based on that, it's become an obsessive behavior that's actually harmful, not helpful.
Mm.
That's obvious with an old technology that we're like, yeah, it's limited utility. But the trap is that we believe now we have a new technology that's just so much more sophisticated. And it's like, it's kind of not. It's just giving you different inputs. But like you noted, most of those inputs, or at least many of them, they're not well vetted. We don't really know what that extrapolation from the number actually means, or how it's going to benefit you. And in my opinion and my observation watching most people, it just spirals into obsessive tracking more than it does any sort of significant pointing in the right direction or reframing somebody into oh, I didn't know and now I should
Mm.
type of behavior. Can it happen? Like you said, sure, sure. And it's great when it does, but I don't think it's the majority. And again, you filter that through like an old technology and you can see right away, you're like, yeah, that's kind of crazy that people used to obsess over the weight on the scale.
Mm.
Some people still
Hmm.
do, but it's really not that different in a lot of ways.
Yeah, agreed. And if you want, I'll give my two options, and you can chime in and pick them apart or layer in
For I'm
my
really
two.
curious to see what you have to
Okay.
say about the sleep. Yeah, because I have
Okay.
one about schedule in general, but it doesn't pertain to sleep so much.
So I got two options. I probably could have come up with more, but the tyranny of choices wouldn't help you out, Joel. So here's two, and they're not rank ordered. They are what they are. Option number 1, work out from home. Stop going to your affiliate. Gasp from the crowd. I know, I get that. Okay, but here's the deal. You can't have it all. This is just an option which is on the table for you. Every decision that you make is a yes. If you say yes to one thing, it's a no to something else. A yes to the 5 a.m. class is a no to sleep. If you're
Sure.
getting,
Yeah.
if it's a 5 a.m. class, that's when it kicks off. What time's your alarm going off, my friend, to get up and commute to the gym?
Right.
And so you say during the week you're getting 4 to 6 hours? Yeah, I bet that you are. And you could bump that up if, and now you also may say, well, the other yes is you're saying yes to fitness. That's great, but there are other options. If you stop going to the 5 a.m. class, you could get some more sleep. You could work out from home. It requires a level of discipline. You seem to have some discipline. Now, but Pat, the people in the 5 a.m. class keep me motivated. Fine. Okay, but that yes to the external motivation of meeting people is a no to sleep. Again, it is what it is. You got to make a decision. So if you want to get more sleep and that is mission critical important to you, this is an option that you do have at your disposal. I bet you could get for sure, since the class is an hour long. I'm not talking the commute before, the commute after.
Mhm.
So you could get at
Right.
least an hour more sleep every single night of your life, if not 90 minutes. That is a huge deal. You could then choose to work out if you have a home, a garage, an apartment, whatever you have. The money that you're saving, you could buy. If you don't have a lot of cash, get one pair of dumbbells and a pull-up bar. That's it. You got more and you got some space, a barbell, some bumper plates, and a set of squat stands that you can tuck into the corner. Like whatever it is, a resistance band for the pull-ups. There is a budget and gear that could fit there. Okay, this is just a true statement. You work from home, eat at your desk. I don't know what you were doing, and if you were going to use 45 minutes, if we had that invisible drone of scrutiny that analyzed your day, Joel, I bet there's 45 minutes somewhere, whether it's on Instagram or whatever, there's 45 minutes somewhere that now in the middle of the day, because you didn't have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to make it to the 5 a.m. class, sleep, crush the work from your desk, you eat while you're working from your computer, and can you find 45 minutes to do something during the day? Probably so. Probably so. And I'm not saying you need to do this, but I'm saying this is a possibility to consider if you can't change these other things. You can't change the number of kids you have, can't change where they need to be. You can potentially change a 5 a.m. class. The 5 a.m. class has pros, the 5 a.m.
Yeah.
class has cons. Make up your own mind. It's just an option that's available to you.
Yeah, I want to interject on that. It's also not all or nothing. Hey, power to you if you want to outfit your home gym and like that's the direction you want to go. You're absolutely right in the sense that unless the gym is like literally next door to you, there's going to be commute time and all these other kind of hidden time costs. That said, if that is important to you to stay at the affiliate for whatever reason, maybe it's coaching, maybe it's motivation, maybe it's community. It
Sure.
doesn't have to be all or nothing. It could be maybe I do 2 or 3 days a week there, and then the other days that still gives you an option to
Absolutely.
increase your sleep, and that take the win if you get that. The other thing
Absolutely.
I'll interject, and I'm not sure because I don't have his question right in front of me, but my read on his initial question was that the device is telling him he gets 4 to 6 hours of sleep, meaning he's actually in bed longer than that, but the
I would
device
assume
says
so.
these are the only hours that count. And
I
I
would assume so.
always question that type of logic with a
Yep.
device. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out
Yep.
I don't think he's
True.
in bed from midnight to 4 a.m. I think it's
Yeah.
longer than
Chances
that.
are staying in bed
Yeah.
an additional 90 minutes would be
Sure. Yeah.
beneficial, not
No
detrimental.
argument there. Yep.
Option 2, Joel, stay at your affiliate. Keep doing what you're doing. Like if you're like, no,
Yeah.
I love the community. I need it. I know that I'll just fall off the deep end and never work out again. Roger that. I don't want to see that happen, my friend. Continue to go to your affiliate. Okay, now here's what I would say. All right, you're just going to be tired, my friend, or you're probably not going to change, these other aspects of your schedule. Fair enough. Assuming that you can't go at a different time, can't go midday because you're working. So I'm going to make those just assumptions. So option number 2 keeps your schedule, it keeps your sleep, keeps your finances, the commute, level of exhaustion, all that kind of remains. I do believe that you can still make gains or progress on this particular path. And I don't know some of these other aspects that I had you in front of me, Joel. I'd ask you some more questions. So I'm going to make some assumptions. I'm sorry if I'm incorrect. Now, what your schedule there is not ideal, okay, but it's possible. And people do it all the time. People in your situation make good progress all the time. Number one, like I said, get your dang nutrition dialed in. The next point, you're 50, you're employed, you've got kids, you're tired all the time. My humble opinion, my friend, being 50, having 3 kids, et cetera, is if you're not already, I would embrace modulating intensity and listening to your
Yes.
body. If you are overtired, overworked, walking around like a zombie, walking into the 5 a.m. class and trying to set your keister on fire every time, I don't think that's going to go in a great place for the tired 50-year-old man. And so, whether that now you could be like, well, Pat, that's why I'm wearing the darn wearable. Like, I get that, but you could also, if you've been doing this for 6 years, my friend, you said you've been doing CrossFit, you've got to have a relatively good sense of your body. And you could start, and if you're not doing it now, you could just start playing with it. Like Boz says, maybe you just put the wearable aside for a bit, let that disconnect from your brain, try to really get in touch. You get in touch with your body more than this wearable. And if you're just tired all the darn time and you're like, every day feels the same, it's like, okay, gotcha. Well, then out of those 5 workouts, just schedule something out. 3 of those days start as easy. They're going to be conversational pace. And 2 of them, you're going to go in and you're still tired, but you know what? Nobody cares. We're all tired. So you're going to go into those other 2 days and you're going to push hard, whatever that means that day. Like, now, I don't want to say screw the time and the clock, but your effort matters. And so
Mhm.
just put forth a uncomfortable level of effort on those 2 days. And in the other 3 days, you're going to take your foot off the gas a little bit and play that out for a month. How does that feel? Could you bump it up to 3 days where you push and 2 days off? Or now do you start to feel like you're regressing? You've played, like, just give yourself this experimental window of not being casual every day and not burning it down every day, having a little bit of both and feeling it out. And I think you might get some good results with that. I know a whole lot of people that do. And then the other thing I would say is, I'm not going to word this properly, so hopefully just you guys can figure it out. You walk into the gym at 5 a.m. You're paying somebody for their coaching, their programming, whatever it happens to be. Even though that's true, and they may be in charge of the class, Joel, they're actually not really in charge of you. You are in charge of you. And so if you walk in and you feel exhausted, and it's the workout of the day is laid out that it's like, I don't know, it's short assault bike sprint. It's like, it's literally like a high intensity burn
Yeah,
yourself at the stake sort of a day. And you
no way
walk
around.
in just like death, and you're like, this isn't what I need today. I am in the hole. You're in charge of your fitness destiny. You can be like, look, today's just not this. I'm going to just hold back. Sorry, buddy. Like, it's just not what I need. And like the coach, ideally, if they're a 27-year-old fire breather and can't understand why you're just feeling like a dead animal that day, like, there has to be this dialogue between the two. And so hopefully that balance can be struck where you are paying competent people for professional services, but you live your life and nobody knows what in the hell's going on in your life better than you. And so those two worlds hopefully need to coexist. So that's my
Yeah,
staying at your own gym option.
for sure. I'll bang that drum about modulating intensity all day long. I could not agree more. I'll also say that a real easy, pragmatic way to do that is just drop a day.
Mm,
That's a very unpopular opinion. People have this mentality, and it honestly goes along with the obsessiveness around wearables in a lot of cases. Those two kind of ideas tend to go hand in hand. Not always, but a lot of times. Um, it's okay if you're hitting it hard 4 days a week. 50 weeks out of the year, you're going to be just fine. Don't worry about it. And you can be amazed sometimes what a difference it makes to just pull back one day.
mm-hmm.
Try that out. You might find that it makes a significant difference in your output on the other days that you're actually in the gym and your overall fatigue level. Maybe it doesn't. Okay, well, no problem, no harm, no foul. You go back to your original schedule and have at it. But there's many circumstances and situations where pulling back a little bit is actually the best thing you can do. Pat just described one way to do that day to day with the intensity being a little bit more thought through before you arrive. But that's another option is just, hey, okay, maybe I take that last day of the week and I don't go to the gym and I do something else. I hang out with my
Mm-hmm.
kids and we go to the park or, we do something that's maybe it's just low intensity, but it's still
Go for a
physical. Get that
walk.
plus. Yeah. But it doesn't need to be another like beatdown of a session. You'd be amazed at the world of good that can do sometimes. And don't get too freaky about I'm not in the gym every single day or this is what I had before as my routine. I have to maintain this or else. It's like, no, the whole thing has to be an ongoing experiment and you're going to go through ebbs and flows. So try that for a period of time too. And note, like Pat said, how do you feel after a period of time with that new routine? What differences do you notice? Not necessarily what is the thing on your wrist saying, but when you wake up in the morning, are you eager to get in the gym? Is it something that you notice by the end of the day you're not as wrecked, the end of the week, etc. Just take stock of some of those things, and that can really help to guide you. And there might be even more obvious signs too, like if you're in the gym experiencing a plateau, it is counterintuitive, but sometimes you take a little bit of time off, you take that extra day, you recover a little bit, and next thing you know, progress gets booted back
Mm-hmm.
up again. You see that happen sometimes, and people can't make sense of it because the mentality is often just, hey, more is better, but that's not the case in many instances. So give yourself some grace there.
That's all I got for Joel, to be honest with you.
Yeah, same, same.
I
And I think the last kind of thing I'll say with Joel is like, hey, dude, don't lose sight of the good that you're doing.
Oh
you,
yeah.
you're clearly dedicated. You're clearly moving in the right direction. So don't lose sight about around that. And progress stalls for all of us at a certain point or slows down. You know what I mean? So don't see that as you're 6 years deep now. The
Mm-hmm.
PRs are going to be harder to get and they're going to be fewer and further between. That's normal. Here to tell you. So don't sweat that either or view that as necessarily a negative sign. That's just something that's going to happen as you get deeper and deeper. So
Yeah,
that's
man.
that's there too. And then last thing, I promise, is incremental progress is still really valuable. So when you get into these states where you're like, okay, to your point, I got an extra hour of sleep last night, dude, that's huge. Celebrate that. Don't write that off. So okay, I had 3 meals this week that were better than they were last week.
Mm-hmm.
In the scheme of things, okay, yeah, you're right. That's not a high percentage of your meals, but it's good progress. Celebrate that and recognize it. Don't feel like it has to be flawless for you to be in that headspace of success. So
I'm
that's
on
it.
I'm on Team Joel. I am Team
Hell yeah.
Joel, and
Same, yeah.
and you are, yeah, you're making it happen, my friend.
Yeah,
So, like I said, everything's just a choice. It's up to you to weigh, and none of them are perfect. That's the
right.
realistic. So just weigh them out. What do you actually think is the best fit for you? Will give you the highest return for your effort, and which has the highest possibility of you maintaining a high level of compliance and actually sticking with it, and then pursue that. Be outcome driven. What's the outcome that you want? This path is most likely. Pursue that path. So you can do it, my friend. But that's it. So until next time, like these are, I love these questions. These are real questions from real people, and they're from all of you watching or listening. So keep sending them in. You can find this episode on the BTWB YouTube channel. Post your questions there. We check those out. Ideas for future shows, guests, or whatever, throw them there. You can go to the Very Not Random Instagram account, post a question there, just as a public question, comment. Or if you want to be more discreet or anonymous, you can send a direct message through the Very Not Random Instagram account. All those make their way back to us. So for Adrian Bosman, for Joel T. and his 2 kids and his terrible sleep, I'm Pat Sherwood, and we will see you next time.